Welcome to this week's episode of Lagnapod. I'm Rob Holbert, your host, and we got a small group here today. Introduce yourselves, gentlemen.
Scott Johnson,
Grant McLaughlin,
and I'm Kyle Hamrick.
With your news here,
with
you sound like you're on 60 Minutes. I actually got I saw somebody post something on Facebook who said something about they wanted somebody to sit next to you at a podcast, so they liked your introductions.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
well,
you got
nice
one fan out there that it's probably your mom.
Thanks, Teresa.
It's probably your mom. Yeah. So the Grant, this week we have a very tasty cover story, right? Yeah.
With all of this, all this political drama around all of our elections, you just got to cool it down.
That's right. Right.
So we had a really
and it is still summertime. It is still hot. This is a good one.
Yeah. And I just moved down here to Mobile, and I'm kind of heat stricken. So this is a good one. So, Frios Gourmet Pops, which some of you may know, is located here in Mobile off I-65 in an old bread factory.
Yep.
They've expanded.
Make it sound a little nicer. It's an old, dilapidated bread factory. It's a popsicle factory now.
Yes, it is a popsicle
factory.
Pop
factory. They don't like the term popsicle, right?
The pop shop.
Yeah.
They're making like millions of these things a year. They've got dozens of flavors, and the owner, Cliff Kennedy, has really expanded the business across the United States via franchising, which kind of piqued my interest. I pay attention to business news a lot, and I know that in the food service industry, a lot of businesses go from mobile to brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And according to Cliff, that was the problem he had.
He's kind of swimming upstream on this thing.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing something different.
Yeah, and a business expert at the University of Alabama told us that, in his area of food service, it's very possible to go that, and it's got its benefits and its faults, but it's certainly not the most popular option to take. And he's took it and ran.
So basically, he's got popsicle trucks all over the country, right?
Yeah, in about 20 states, pretty heavy throughout the Southeast. When he took over the business in 2018, there was about 20 locations. I believe all those were brick and mortar. And during the pandemic, everybody's favorite time period at this point.
Life-changing event for many people.
And it was certainly life-changing for Cliff. I mean, he saw one of his franchisees essentially go mobile because some wasn't working.
Right.
And he said, that's it. And he's been able to expand it to over, I think he's right at about 115 franchises throughout the nation.
That's pretty amazing.
That's just in 5 years. He's hoping to get to 1,000 by 2030,
Yeah. Did they let you taste anything while you were out there, or were you able to get it?
They tried. They were trying to butter me up with ice pops.
Yeah.
But I tried a couple.
You stayed strong. You tried them. They're great, aren't they? I mean,
they are really, really good.
It is a delicious popsicle.
So
I've always been a fan of their product. It's been very good.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get into my health buff era.
Yeah,
over here.
Is that what you're doing?
That's what I'm trying.
Because I saw what you've been eating for lunch. That doesn't seem like that's what you're doing. But anyway, I won't get into that.
He jumped in front of me for a cookie too.
Yeah, we won't get into that. He ate the entire box of cookies yesterday.
I want the record to reflect. I'm trying. As
Yoda would say, try not, do.
That's right. But he's got some health options. He's got protein pops. He's got a couple of no sugar added. So honestly, there's something for everybody in these popsicles.
Yeah.
And I was just glad that they allowed me to come by and get to document the process.
Yeah, it's a cool story, no pun intended. But it's a fun story, and this time of year, it's nice. And I mean, I would love to have one of those popsicle trucks rolling through my neighborhood. It's give me some. I don't have an ice cream truck in my neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a whole revamp.
Yeah.
We're taking out the ice cream cones for a little wooden stick.
Yeah, it's nice. I had the last place I lived that had an ice cream truck. That the guy had like part of Pop Goes the Weasel. Like he just just like the dun, 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 dun. It didn't differentiate. I just thought maybe
it just kept going on.
At some point, he would just drive off a bridge. Yeah, it would.
That sounds like the inspiration to like a Stephen King horror novel.
Yeah, it just couldn't. He save up to get the rights to the entire song, but it was a little rugged. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But it's a good story. I think people enjoy that. This next part of the podcast is going to be brought to you by Maws. We're going to talk about several stories involving Maws. The first of which, Kyle, you wrote about this past week, or about some construction over on Pine Hill Drive that is driving some people crazy.
Yes, it is. Yeah, there are three businesses on Pine Hill Drive, which is, just south of Government Street near the police headquarters.
It's right across from police HQ.
Right.
Yeah.
It's right across from there. There's three businesses there. There's a dog groomers, there's an oil change place, and then there used to be a car window tinting shop.
Yeah.
And I spoke to the owners of all three of those, and they are exasperated by this sewer project for Maws that they said they had no clue was coming and are not really sure when they're going to be done.
Now, I will say, just full disclosure, I use Paws on Pine Hill for my own hair. No, not for my hair, for the dog. I take our dog there, and I started when I took the dog there back in October, I guess, and I noticed this massive amount of construction. Everything's blocked off. Got to find my way back to the business. And the lady was like, "Yeah, this is just kind of came out of nowhere." And, but that was back in October, and it was supposed to be like a 4-month program, right?
That's what the Paws on Pine Hill
4-month tour.
It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be from October to January or February was what the Paws on Pine Hill owner said. She was told. But I spoke to Maws, and they said that it should be through, I believe, by the end of the year.
By the end of this year, early next year.
Or
so
the
it
start
may be
of the
a full
next
year over when it was supposed to be done.
That is correct.
I mean,
yes.
So they are doing this project to keep sewer overflows from running into a Slava Creek.
Right.
A very
good project.
A great project.
Good idea.
Something that needs to be done, no doubt. But it is taking a tremendous amount of time.
It has taken a tremendous amount of time, and it has taken a toll on these people's businesses.
Yeah.
Paws on Pine Hill said she's had a lot of property damage as a result of this.
Yeah, got water under her house
water that's running off from this little parking maze that the contractors created for people to get to her business. She says it's sending floods of water under her house. She says that the drilling and the work that they're doing has shaken the foundations of her house. It's constant noise. Said that she used to be able to board dogs at her place, but now
they can't handle
it. They can't take it.
They can't take the noise.
The shaking, I mean, it's just like an earthquake was the word that she used to describe it. Then the oil change guy, he's right up there on the corner of Pine Hill and Government. He said that...
Now, this poor guy had just purchased the business when this started, right?
He had just bought the business. He worked there for more than a decade, and he said that the work started 2 months after he bought it.
Yeah.
And from this year to last, he's down $10,000, and 100 cars that used to come to him now are not coming to him because of this massive...
project
road work.
It's look, obviously road work needs to get done. Sewer work needs to be done. We have a lot of old infrastructure. When they tear these roads apart, it is often they get in there and like, oh my God, it's worse than we thought.
Something from 1810 in there or something.
However, when a project is this far overdue, and I mean, and I think, I've heard from people that are familiar with it, and I think maybe even they said something to you. Is there are a lot of days when it's the sun's shining and nobody's working
and nobody's out there,
and it's kind of like this also kind of reminiscent of when Florida Street was under construction for it.
Yeah,
that may predate you, but it was Florida Street was under construction for a long time. Also, a big sewer project and road project. And, it killed off a lot of businesses. And so, it's one of those things, I don't know what the answer is to that other than, try to stay on time or even remotely on time would be helpful to businesses. But
absolutely
something like this that, you always think when we're offering incentives to businesses, some of this, I look at and say, can some of these small businesses be helped with this kind of thing going on around it?
Yeah.
And then Scott, we're moving on in the Maws segment here. You did a story with the folks who are fighting against the fishing boating ban on Big Creek Lake.
Yeah, there's a fishing standoff going on, which I just found out we were trending on Google for. Fishing standoff. Mobile County.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
But so there are a group of people, including a city council candidate, who believe that it is their right as Alabamians and as U.S. citizens
and human beings.
Yes, to fish the lake out in Big Creek Lake. And so, recap, back in February, Maws said they were closing the lake permanently.
If people are not familiar, Big Creek Lake is where we get our drinking water from. When you turn on the tap, that's Big Creek Lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's people have moderately fished there for several decades. It's out near Sims. But, so they close it in February and, kind of claiming that there are invasive species threatening the area.
And they also have set up a plan, though, to have boats that they're going to rent out there, right? And things like that.
Yeah, that's all progressed. There was a bunch of threats of, we're going to change laws to where Maws can't do these things anymore.
Or utilities in general.
It was very sweeping. So that failed in the legislature. Anyway, they resolved in this plan, Maws did, that they were going to, let people rent their own boats. They're going to set up this kind of
boats that don't leave the area.
Yeah.
Right. So the problem is that people worry about is that, Kyle goes out, gets in his boat and rides around up in the, in the Tennessee River or somewhere and gets
northern part.
He gets razor clam eggs all over him, or whatever they are.
Zebra mussels.
Zebra mussels. He gets zebra mussels all over his boat,
and that giant salvia too. Grass.
And he's got all that stuck on his boat too, and then he plops it into Big Creek Lake, and boom! Now you've got an infestation of these invasive species. Yep. So that's the problem. That's the fear.
Yeah, you have to wash your boat with extremely hot water and et cetera. They just can't manage that. They can't verify that everyone's doing that. Anyway, so there's this argument between what's critical infrastructure. Maws claims it is, and that they can shut down the lake. This group says, no, it's a navigatable waterway, which is legal language, which means, you can't shut it down.
Yeah.
You have a right to fish and navigate it. Which, Big Creek Lake is a dammed up waterway.
Right.
Anyway, so over the last couple of weeks, as far as I can tell, there have been people who are doing statements or basically civil disobedience, more or less. They're going out on the lake.
Protest fishing.
Yeah.
They are protest fishing. Yes.
Gandhi would be proud.
Yes.
Grab your reel and stand with me. So they've
non-violent fishing.
Yeah,
resistance.
That's what some congressmen might call some good trouble.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's right.
Maws owns all the land around it, so they can close it off in terms of don't trespass.
Right.
And they've hired the sheriff's office to basically enforce that. They're no trespassing there. And anyway, people are still finding ways to get into the lake without trespassing. They're coming down from
you can just come down
upstream.
Big Creek.
Yeah, they come from upstream, and they're now fishing the lake. There've been multiple videos of people driving over the highway there. What is that, 98?
Yep.
And taking videos of the kayakers. And basically, it's Maws said that if you come on the lake, you're gonna
you will be shot. I mean, no, you'll be ticketed, and
you'll be sunk on sight.
We're gonna press charges, etc. But they go out in the lake and surprise. This was kind of interesting is that the DA and the sheriff's office have basically only taken information. They've not done anything. They won't even remove the boaters from the lake.
They're just taking their names. And then, of course, the argument on the other side is, hey, look, there's these reservoirs everywhere, and people ski in them, and they boat in them, and they do all this other stuff, and it's not been an issue there. Why does it have to be an issue here? Although, when people say, "Oh, Lake Martin is a reservoir," Lake Martin's also a gajillion times bigger than Big Creek Lake. Yeah. I mean, Big Creek Lake's not a giant reservoir. Yeah. I mean, but still, I mean, if you get invasive species, they're going to grow, and so I mean, I get the points on both sides. I mean,
and I think
because I'm fair and just.
One thing their managers have said is we want to keep the cost of water low.
Yeah,
when you start adding these invasive species in, your management costs go up extremely. So I think that is an interest, and I think that's a good endeavor is, hey, if we don't need to have these things in there, we shouldn't. So it's an interesting issue. I don't know how it's going to fall. I understand that the AGs is supposed to be getting involved, trying to interpret some of the law.
This is turning into quite a thing, though. I mean, it is. It's quite a battle, and you've got the one guy, I can't remember his name, that's running for office. Is
I think it's Matt Frazier.
Matt Frazier
in District 6.
He may actually ride this issue onto the city council. Yeah, so
that's
see.
his plan.
Oh yeah, his message was if they can shut down Big Creek Lake for this reason, then they have to shut down all of the lakes.
He'll shut them all down.
Yeah, I'll shut every lake down.
Nobody will be able to use a lake in the state. All right, well, we're just going to take a quick break here from this first half, and we'll come back and talk about a few other things, including the big Orange Beach debate last night. We'll be right back.
Down in our Alabama town, Lagniappe daily is on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Oh, Lagniappe daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
It's just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagniappe Daily. Get signed up now at lagniappemobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
Down in our Alabama town, Lagniappe daily's on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Oh, Lagniappe daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
And we are back, and we've been joined by the lovely and talented Ashley Trice.
Hello.
Glad to have you
How many
back.
segments have I missed?
You've just missed one.
Oh, great.
But we're only doing 2 today.
Oh, well,
because Tommy
wonderful.
Hicks is out hicksing. He's out there doing. He's out there talking to all the sporty people. Yeah, he's
sporting.
It's football days. Things are getting tight for him. So last night was in Orange Beach was the big, widely anticipated debate between Tony Kennon, the mayor, and Jeff Boyd, who is running against him. Obviously, a lot of the interest in this has been driven from here. This is the part where we pat ourselves on the back. That by the stories we've done about the issue of the the naked man punching a woman in the face on the balcony of the Coastal Services building
last fall,
and then of course some of the follow-ups we've done about the mayor's fist fights, and including a new one that we have out today, or as we do this, today came out. But we're going to talk about the debate a little bit. So obviously they talked about infrastructure and taxes and all that other stuff, but did they get into the nitty-gritty about some of this?
Toward the very end.
Yeah.
This was an hour-long debate, and they kind of got into some of these things that we've been writing about around like the 45-minute mark.
Yeah. If
somewhere near
you're
there.
at home, we're going to post this. This will be posted up on our website, the audio from the debate, so people can check it out if they
very
want
soon. So if you go to around like the 45-minute mark, the 40-minute mark, they start to talk about the police chief.
Right.
How their current police chief is stepping down, partially because he told Jeff Boyd he couldn't take the pressure, and that the city council has moved to put somebody in his place before the election.
Boyd even said that this resignation was the impetus for him running for mayor,
race,
because he said he was running unopposed for his council seat, didn't even have to worry about being back on the council. But once the police chief called him and said, "I'm leaving because I can't handle this anymore," he says he was on a trip somewhere, turned his car around and headed back to Orange Beach and announced that he's running for mayor.
Rolled up his sleeves and got to work.
Yeah.
So Jeff Boyd, he asked a question, why are we doing this prior to the election? Tony basically said that this has to be done. We got to have a police chief for this excellent department that we have. And that's when Boyd kind of let him have it. He said, basically, I'm paraphrasing him. He said, it's rich that's coming from you when there's officers in the Orange Beach Police Department who have quit because they got tired of driving you around at 3 a.m.
Yeah. And are terrified of you as well.
And
officers
are
scared
personally scared of you.
But he did directly mention the fact that Kennan has been hauled around by the police after he is out drinking at night.
After the bar fight at the Floribama in 2019, he got a ride from an on-duty cop.
And that is not speculation. That is
in police papers.
Police reports, yes.
Right. And then after that, Boyd said, you know, this thing really all started because of this police call to the Coastal Resources building. He said he had no idea about this prior to, you know, me for Lagniappe calling him for the first story that we did. And this was the first time that Jeff had really mentioned this or commented on it.
Yeah. And you've asked him several times to comment, and he's demurred on that all the time.
He has backed off every single time.
But this he got in Tony's face a little bit about it last night.
Yeah. And then he said later that if anybody else had been on the balcony of the Coastal Resources building at 1 a.m., if they were a city employee, they would have been fired on the spot.
Right.
That was what he closed the night out with.
Yeah.
In his closing statements. Tony did not like this, and he kind of, you know, bit back.
He got angry about
Boyd.
it because he said there had been an agreement not to talk about this stuff ahead of time. You know, which I thought was interesting that the debate had this agreement that they were not going to discuss this matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he got very upset about that and said he should get time to respond, etc. And he more or less admitted, as he accused Jeff Boyd of also getting rides with police.
From the police, which we're trying to find out about.
Yeah. I want to know, like, how many are all the city council members just getting carted
well,
around?
That's the question I have is, you know, and somebody, you know, as when we wrote about this, that some people had said, well, you know, it's better than them drinking and driving, et cetera. And I'm like, okay, what if you've got, you know, 5 or 6 city council folks and you've got some county commissioners and you've got the mayors of all these towns where they're all out drinking at night and they're somewhere and they just all call cops, on duty police, come get us. You know, drag 8 or 9 people off the street to come do that, you know, to take them home.
The last time I was down there, they have plenty of Ubers and all kinds of taxi services. So I don't really know why the police.
It's a misuse of public of public resources. It is. And not to mention the fact that it is taking a police officer off the job to take you home versus patrolling the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But, you know, I that's one, you know, something for, I guess, you know, if there was a law enforcement agency that cared to look into it, I think that was something they could find that would be a problem. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you're going to get your district attorney in Baldwin County to do anything, but that's, you know.
They've told me as much. So.
Right.
But, and Tony, you know, part of biting back at Boyd, you know, he mentioned that about the rights from the police, and he also said that if he wanted a second workspace, then he absolutely could have one.
Ethically, he said.
Ethically,
he said ethics told him he could have a second office if he wants one. Whatever that means. So he can just take a second office and use it as a weekend getaway with his wife. I don't know.
Like has been said, and he said, you know, that this is a workspace that is open for anybody to use. That Jeff could have used it. I talked to plenty of members of the city council who said they never had a meeting there. Talked to the school board. They said they might have had a handful of meetings there. So it's not been something that's been in the rotation.
No,
for people
the mayor made it sound like it was an office that could be used by anybody, but
at any time.
But everybody, when we've talked to them over there, they all say it's the mayor's office.
Yeah,
and so well, at any time appears to be 1 a.m. too. So, but we also had a story this week about a fight that the mayor got in back in 2011. So, well, why is that pertinent today? It does, number one, I think, show a pattern of behavior. This is at least the third potential. If you look at the thing on the last Labor Day, granted, we do not know if that was Tony Kennan. Nobody knows if that was Tony Kennan or not. That was reported to be punching a woman in the face on the balcony of the building. The police in the report made contact with a person, and then they went 4 days later and interviewed Tony Kennan's wife to make sure she was okay.
Yeah.
So, and then of course they've told us that the body camera footage current and former police that familiar with it told me that in the body camera footage, the person behind the door said it is Tony Kennon, which is when police backed off and they didn't make contact with his wife. But if you look at that and you say, if he's involved in that, he was definitely involved in 2 other altercations. So you may have 3 violent actions that we're aware of. Mm-hmm. There have been rumored to be more, I can tell you that, but we're not going to go into the rumors. Yeah. But the
so what happened on the live bait bus?
On the live bait bus, but the issue with that too is that he punched it. I interviewed the guy who said he was punched in the mouth by Tony Kennon. It was a wedding party. They were on there. They claimed that Kennon turned around. They didn't know who he was. He just got on the bus ahead of him. He and his wife got on the bus ahead of him. As they were riding down the road, he turned around and screamed at this guy's fiance to shut the F up.
Yeah.
And then reiterated, I thought I told you to do that. And then he and the guy got into, obviously, the man whose fiance was being yelled at didn't take too kindly to it. He stood up. Kennon stood up. And then another guy behind him stood up. And when he turned to tell his friend to chill out, he claims Kennon punched him in the mouth when he wasn't looking. And that, a melee ensued. Cops show up. They yank this guy off the bus and handcuff him and throw him in the car. Kennon walks off the bus and the police talk to him and everything's okay. And they put him in the back of it. They take him and drive he and his wife home. And so, eventually this guy sued or wrote a letter. He did not sue. They wrote a demand letter. And this is one of the more interesting parts of it, that there was a settlement that but it was done through the city. It was done through the city's insurance. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing we found out this week. You were able to get some documents, and we got some documents that showed that it had been run through the insurance company for the city.
The Alabama Municipal Insurance Corporation.
Yeah, which, if your mayor's out fist fighting at 2 a.m. or whatever, 1:30 in the morning, that's not an official action, I don't think. Not at least in most cities. I don't think.
I've not heard of that being an official function of the office.
Live bait was City Hall at the time.
It may have been. Yeah, it may be. It was in the bus, though, so I don't know.
Yeah. But there's some gray area.
I just think that issue is one, I know there's some criticism. That's so long ago. Why would you bring it up? There's criticism for bringing up the one from last year. But these are things that we just found out about, and these are documents that just came to light. So, the issue about, he's had at this point at least, I believe, 2 sexual harassment cases that have been settled.
And they settled. What was it? They settled this under law enforcement.
They settled under law enforcement liability.
Yeah. So if a cop was
listed it as law enforcement liability, which the mayor is not law enforcement. So there's just some issues there that, and I know that the people.
I'm sure Tony Kenny fancies himself the commander-in-chief of Orange Beach.
I believe he does. I'm sure.
Well, because he said that when he was found on the boat for the coastal resources, that he's the mayor and he wanted to drive around.
That's also another one that he was accused of using the coastal resources boats for his personal pleasure craft, that he just taking his family out on boat rides and going into the beach on the city boats. The argument always is, this guy does a great job. Okay, maybe he does. But at some point, if you're having secret second offices and using those as your weekend getaway, and you're using the cops to protect you when you get in fist fights, and using city resources to pay off legal claims against you for personal behavior, it's those things weigh. There's a weight there. People need to weigh that, and as they figure out what they're going to do. But the main thing for us is we're just trying to report the news, and it's a strange story for sure.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the strangest ones I've ever done.
Yeah,
definitely in the pantheon of weirdness.
Well, and when you start with a 911 call about a naked guy punching a woman in the face on the balcony of a city-owned building,
my favorite quote from the debate coverage. 1819 News put it on, and no other media were allowed to attend or cover it. But Tony Kennon apparently said, my opponent brought the sleaze into this race.
Yeah.
Well, what the sleaze would be is referring to the naked man incident. So,
well, he had managed to apparently exact some promise from everybody that nobody would talk about this stuff, I guess, and was very upset that was brought up. He was, you could tell from the audio, he was basically beside himself when it got brought up.
It's pretty frustrating.
He almost was at a loss for words for a second there. He was just stuttering and stammering. He was super mad.
He was very flustered.
He was a little flustered, but and his wife came out the other day. She put something on Facebook and called all this stuff. Although once again, nothing specific. They don't address any of the specifics.
Which you would say if you knew that wasn't you. 100 unequivocally was not percent.
I was at home in bed.
I was not there.
Yes.
I was not there. This did not happen.
Yeah, I was not there.
Tony was not there.
Tony was not there.
We were not there.
At which point and look, nobody has proved that he was there. But at which point you would say somebody was there because the police contacted somebody. There was somebody behind the door that they talked to. So there was somebody in the mayor's office at 1 a.m. impersonating the mayor, and there are video cameras on the building. There are cameras all over that building, which we've asked the city about that, and they, it's crickets as usual. Everything is kind of like, we're not answering any question, not a single one. But it's, we'll see where it goes. I mean, we're not doing this because there's an election. We're doing it because the news came out. I mean, the information came to us at this time, and I think it is important for people to be aware of it. But we're not going to just hold on to it until after the election. Speaking of elections, Barry Moore has decided he is going to try to become a U.S. Senator. And once again, that leaves open the District 1 seat in the House of Representatives, and it looks like Jerry Carl is going to jump back and probably try to regain his old seat.
For whom the Jerry runs.
For whom the Barry tolls.
Boy, you guys, you're on it today.
Wow.
We may be taking some laps here, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so who's got the what's the latest on this?
He's got Barry.
Yeah. So it was a pretty boilerplate announcement for a Republican candidate who wants to run for Senate, but just for those that don't know, Tommy Tuberville is running for governor, therefore his seat is open, and the
musical chairs have begun.
The musical chairs have begun. I believe Barry is one of now 3 candidates for the primary.
Okay, I know that there's Steve Marshall, and I know Barry.
Yes.
Who's the third? Do you know?
There's
Jared. I think his name is Jared Hudson.
That's
he's
right.
a Navy SEAL.
Okay. Yeah.
Former Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
And then there are I believe there is a slate of Democratic candidates as well, but they're being a very heavily Republican-controlled state.
What? Alabama's a heavily Republican state. Good luck with that, huh?
Yeah,
the Democrats running. Maybe that's a little tough one. That's a tough one to do.
But I think it'll be super interesting to kind of watch that primary go down. There are a number of ruby red states, as some politicians would call them, that are seeing very packed Republican primaries next year.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see if Tuberville kind of tips his hat in there. I believe. Barry and Marshall and
Steve Marshall.
Steve Marshall. Those are two candidates with some reputation on their name, and so Tuberville may put his 2 cents in there, and that could definitely swing that race.
But so then Jerry Carl, at this point, I don't know that anybody else has said they're going to run for
I've not
District
heard
1,
of it
right?
yet. Yeah, he's the first one.
And he obviously he served a couple of terms there as well. When they redistricted, it put he and Barry head to head. I think you'll probably see somebody run from the northern part of the district, though, most likely.
Yes,
you're going to see somebody from
rumor.
that area.
There's a Wiregrass state representative who has been rumored to hop in the race, who I believe is also from Dothan or Enterprise like Barry is.
Yeah. Well,
and then Tom Holmes, the Democrat, might jump back in too. He ran against Barry and Jerry the last time.
Yeah,
he's a tenacious guy.
Well, it's that'll be pretty fascinating to see if Jerry Carl ends up back in the House, or who comes after that spot from the Wiregrass region, from the Montgomery area, all those. There's a lot of opportunity there. I think you're going to see people jump in. I think you're still probably going to see more people jump in the Senate race too, because you know, these things don't open up a lot, and this is actually pretty. It's been a kind of a revolving door for the last few years, even with Tuberville not really being there very long. So
since Shelby went out.
Yeah. So anyway, well, that's all we have this week, folks. We will be back next week with the next episode of Lagnapod. Thanks for listening to us.
The Lagnapod is a Something Extra publishing production. Executive producers are Rob Holbert and Ashley Trice. Music is by Some Pulse Sound and Electro Animals. Only subscribers like you have access to this podcast. Tell your friends they can sign up at my.lagniappemobile.com. For advertising opportunities, please call 251-450-4466.